And somebody said this to me, so I'll say it to everybody out there. Our job is to find the gold in the script. It's called digging for the gold. And it's literally keeping things fairly flat and then raising up this word or separating this word so that it accentuates the meaning of what you're saying.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Voiceover Simplified. I'm Katelyn Dawn, and today I am extremely lucky that we get Larry Hudson to chat with us today. Larry, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me, Ms. Katelyn.
You're welcome. Larry is somebody I have known for, I think I started VO workouts February 2021. So we've known each other for a while. And we recently met at the VO North conference, and that was so lovely. Aww. Larry is a successful voice actor. He's based in LA. He started voiceover in 2009, and shortly after he went full-time. So Larry's got the stuff. His client list includes Disney, Lexus, Toyota, Krups, KB Home, Tropicana, Quaker Oats, and Kubota. In addition to being the very lovely and talented voice actor that he is, he's also really well known in the industry for creating the WOW weekly VO workouts. He has a 5-session recording and editing course for both Audition and Audacity. And he has an organizational webinar called How to Organize Your Computer for Voiceover and for Life, and his I Booked the Job, Now What Do I Do webinars, as well as computer and home studio technical consults and voiceover coaching. So, Larry, you are a busy guy.
I'm a busy guy, but I limit certain things, like because my main focus is obviously still being a performer, because that's what I really love to do. And it all kind of came from when I had my first conversation about voiceover. The gentleman that I had that conversation with gave me 2 very good bits of advice. One was, you will not do a demo for 6 months to a year. And the other one, which was great advice, and the other one was pay it forward. So that's where all this other stuff came from, was just my innate desire to assist other people and have them avoid the pitfalls that I just have a thing about. Like, I hate seeing people get taken advantage of and buying the wrong equipment or working with a coach that is not bringing the real goods, that kind of stuff. I'm real sensitive to that. I kind of tend to be, in my world, known as the no BS guy. Like, I'll give it to you straight. You want to know about somebody or about what to buy or not to buy, and what do you think about this program and that program? I'm the guy that'll be really honest about it, because there's a lot of people out there trying to put their hand in our pocket.
Oh yeah, voiceover is definitely one of those things where, like, you could spend $50,000 on demos before you've even booked a job, and it's
one of the worst things to do.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that for sure. Yeah. I'm sure we're going to get into that.
Yes, and well, today I kind of thought, since you are like such an audio guru, you've got the courses on Audacity and Audition and stuff, and home studio, I thought maybe we could kind of go that route. So, let's dive into the topic of recording and editing and audio quality and all of that stuff. I guess when it comes to audio, people who are getting into voiceover are probably don't even really know what good audio quality is. So, Larry, what is good audio quality?
I'm going to ask a question first.
Sure.
Because this is the question I always ask of all my students when we start a course. I ask, why do we edit? And nobody knows the answer. They all say to make it sound better. Well, what does that mean? Because it's speculative. Because what sounds good to you may be different for me, right? Mm-hmm. So the answer is really simple. In that, you got to put on your client's shoes to know what's important. And that's a lot of what I do, and why I was successful so quickly. Like, right out of the gate, I was making a full-time living in 2 years, which for most people starting in voiceover, they'll spend 3 to 5 years even before they book their first gig. So the way it works is, when we speak, especially into a microphone, we have imperfections. And those imperfections are a distraction from what is most important to the client, which is the message. They have spent weeks and months and lots of money developing a video or developing the script. And literally, we are the last people on the list to do our job for them to finish their production. So the most important thing to understand is, the reason why we are editing is we are removing distractions from the message, so that nothing distracts from the message, which is the root and the guiding light that I use in all of my editing. In other words, there's a little bit of a controversy. People will argue with me about removing a breath.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask them a really simple question. Have you ever heard a commercial that had breathing in it? And the answer will be no, because you haven't. I actually heard one commercial about 5 years ago for O'Reilly Auto Parts that the guy, you could hear him breathing. They didn't edit it out. And that commercial was gone in about 2 weeks.
And it wasn't
So,
part of the performance, right? It wasn't
it wasn't part, exactly. It wasn't part of the performance, which, if something is part of the performance, it may seem like a distraction, but if it's part of the performance, then it stays. That's my rule.
Mm-hmm.
In professional studios, they've spent $30,000 building a booth, floated floor, 3 walls, acoustically treated on the inside so that it's nice and dead on the inside. There is a huge difference between soundproof and acoustically treated, a good sounding room. So know that we will never get to soundproof in a home. The truth is, even in a recording studio that they've spent lots and lots of money on, they may not be soundproof either. So our goal is, in our area, as you can see the room that I'm in, my whole room is a studio. This is a small 10 by 10 room. And I had a kind of one of those PVC booths with wrapped in sound blankets. And I had these 4 acoustic panels you see behind me inside. So people thought I was in a whisper room. It sounded great because of the acoustical treatment that was inside. But listen, when the train goes by or the leaf blower next door is running, I just have to wait. That's just the way it is. So noise floor is the ambient sound in your room when nothing is going on. Now, my rules of the road around that is you must get your noise floor down to below negative 48 dB before you start recording. In other words, if it's above negative 48 in a home, it means there's something in your home that you can turn off or eliminate some way. And by the way, putting more acoustical treatment inside your closet is not going to lessen your noise floor. It's just not. The reason is noise floor is caused a lot by vibration. So if you're in a house, there may be a refrigerator 2 doors, 2 rooms down, but you're on the same floor joists, and that vibrating from that refrigerator is coming through those floor joists and sitting on either your desk or your microphone stand, and it's coming right up the stand and down into the microphone. So you just got to look into your space. There's always the general culprits, which are air conditioning, heating, fans, old refrigerators, things like that. Anything that you think is making noise. If you can get your noise floor down to negative 48, then simply you can do a noise reduction, and it has a really good chance of being very effective. If it's above negative 48, depending on what kind of sound it is, you could still do a noise reduction and it'll work, but it may not be as effective. There's sometimes it will. It depends on what kind of noise it is. So for me, noise floor is the basis, the foundation that the house of editing lives on. And if you haven't dealt with your noise floor, you can pretty much guarantee the rest of it's going to kind of go to hell in a handbag. So you got to learn what that is about. You got to learn, by the way, noise reduction is one of those things, like if you don't know what you're doing, you better find out from somebody that does. Because if your settings are too harsh or too direct and not correct for what it is that we're trying to do, what will happen is it'll just screw up your recording, and you'll have what we call haloing, or it makes your voice sound weird. And we're not here to do that. We're here to enhance and make our stuff sound better. So noise reduction is, like I said, the foundation. And then what I teach is what I call the 6 key elements. There's only 6 things we're listening for: noise floor, breaths, plosives, extraneous clicks and pops.
I'm very clicky.
Yeah, we have all those weird things that we do. That's 4. 5 is smoothing the entrances to words. This is a big trick that people don't notice. Like when I say the word hour, or and and. My and has a very sharp attack to it. So when you look at it on the waveform, it's very vertical. It's not triangular, kind of like this. It's very vertical. So what I do is I can, if you don't know what a crossfade is or a smooth fade, you could just use a regular fade in and just get the little bit outside the word, a little bit inside the word, and fade it in, and it'll soften it so that it has that triangular look to the word. And then number 6 is the last one that I can't teach people to do, but I keep, prodding them along, is timing. In other words, the pacing at which you say things. There is nothing worse than making somebody wait in the middle of a sentence for you to get to the word and then say the rest of your sentence. It's got to flow. So the timing is really important. There was somebody today that I listened to his performance, and it was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you sound all robotic. And I literally took just the first few words that he said, I tightened them up and then sped the whole thing up digitally, and then he sounded normal.
Right.
But when he was going at the pace that he was going, it was like, get me a gun, waiting for the words to come, and we don't want to do that. So those are the 6 key elements. Those are the only things we're listening for, like distraction wise, as we're editing. And listen, I edit the same for paid work as I do for auditions. It's all the same to me.
Me too.
I might spend a little more time on, if it's paid work, like take one more pass and be sure I've got every click and pop. But pretty much it's the same work for me.
Same. I take my time with my auditions, I always have, and it might be to my detriment, but I mean, it's working for me, as far as my booking rate and everything like that. I figure, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right. So,
I mean, my thing is, I want to have an audition done within 15 or 20 minutes. And again, I've been doing this for 13 years, so I can look at a script, and by the third time reading through it, I'm at about 95% of catching everything that I need, as I say. And somebody said this to me, so I'll say it to everybody out there. Our job is to find the gold in the script. It's called digging for the gold. And it's literally keeping things fairly flat and then raising up this word or separating this word so that it accentuates the meaning of what you're saying. That is our job, to convey
the
meaning.
Yes. I've always loved that you've said that. People get stuck on how they're sounding and all this stuff. And then you'll just say, what does this mean? And it just, definitely.
Yeah, which is a whole other conversation about performance. But the number one thing that I say, the most important thing that we need to be focused on when we're reading a script is the meaning of what we're saying, not the sound. If you have headphones on and you're listening to what you sound like, the meaning, my coach said it best. I studied with David Lyerly for over 2 years, and he was known as one of the greatest coaches ever. He's now head of voiceover at Riot Games. But one of the way he said it, and I memorized it, he said, there's this part of your brain it's called the prefrontal cortex, and there's a filter in there that keeps us from doing or saying stupid things. So if you were to put a voice actor in an MRI with electrode connectors and see what's going on in that area of the brain, and have them read a script, you'd see that part of the brain is in hyperdrive. So much so that it's so focused on the bips and beeps and bops of the words, the sounds of the words, that the meaning becomes superfluous. And so what happens is the meaning goes right out the window. And by the way, when you're focused on meaning, your natural instincts will start to show up a lot more. People get into this, listen, we've all done it when we started. We get into voiceover mode. And and here's one of the fallacies about that side of it. When I first started in voiceover, one of the things that I did is I would transpose commercials off the TV that I really liked. I would record them and then transpose them, and then I would recreate them. And what I saw was what I was doing compared to what I thought I was hearing was what they were doing was completely different than what I was doing. I was very excited and had lots of lilting up and down and bringing all this energy to it. And what I didn't realize was why I thought I was hearing that is because the video tells the story, the music sets the mood. Your job as a voice actor is just to say the words. Now, that doesn't mean to be boring or monotone, but you'll hear when you listen, if you really listen to commercials, there's very little of this. It's this, There's a little lift here and there, but they're just giving it to you matter of factly. It's not all this, we think we're hearing that. We think everything sounds like a infomercial, and especially when we first start, and it's not.
So much gold in there. So I'm thinking about like somebody who's coming to this and wanting to start getting that professional audio quality. So like, where do you think people should start in getting their audio set up?
First of all, the room is much more important than the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
You can take a $150 microphone and put it in a great room, and it's going to sound fabulous. You can take $1,000 microphone and put it in a bad room, and it'll sound like a $50 microphone.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a list of microphones that I recommend for people, like when they're starting out, that, kind of gives a range price wise and what you can do. I mean, literally the mic that I recommend to a lot of people now for $169 is the Audio-Technica 875R. It's a shotgun mic. It's only about 7 inches long, easy to work with. It eliminates a little bit of the sound around you. It's not, it's not picking up the whole room. It's very directional. For $169, great mic to start with. I own it. I gave it away as a gift. She's still using it in her booth and sounds fabulous every day and is booking tons of work. So really, to get your sound, my recommendation is, if you don't know anything about acoustics, you need to hire somebody for, listen, for a consult, I only charge $75. I can look at your room. You can show me pictures of your closet and I'll go, okay, this is what you should do. And typically what I'm going to tell you to do is going to cost you under $300. Typically it's less than that. It's a lot about where the mic goes. And like, I have people, like I just helped a couple of parents that have kids that do it, and they were trying to get their sound right, and they were doing it in a closet. We literally put one of these panels hanging from the ceiling, and that mic peeking out from the clothing. So the kids are talking into the clothing. Sounded fabulous. One of these will do 100 times more than a bunch of foam. Foam is my least favorite, by the way. Covering your room in foam is not going to get you what you need. It will deaden it a little bit, but the problem is foam only cuts on high frequencies. It doesn't cut low frequencies. I'm a big fan of ATS acoustic panels. This room is filled with them. I mean, the 4 you see are the ones that I bought. The rest of them I made myself, and they were really easy to make if you have basic tools, which I'm kind of a tool guy. So, I have a power sander and a power drill and a power saw and all that kind of stuff. So it was easy to do. And then you need a power stapler because you gotta upholster these mothers.
Yeah.
but anyway, so I would recommend, anybody like Dan Leonard, Dan, if you live in LA, he'll even come to your house kind of thing. I do minimal house calls just because I'm so busy, and it's too expensive for you to have me, but I can tell you what to do and show you exactly how to do it. So, the number one thing is get your room together, whatever area you're recording. And listen, closets are great. I know people making 6 figures in their walk-in closet, and it's not encroaching on their wife's clothes. It's like, it's all working out. They can do everything in there they need to do.
I was going to say, my closet is probably the size of a New York City closet. And no, I don't live in New York, but, so I was like, I need a booth. So I actually built my booth myself. Like my husband helped me, but it was like a 2x4. I basically took what you typically would make a sound absorbing panel with, the 2x4 wood, frame with rock wool safe and sound and like the fabric. And I just built a booth like that. And that's what I started with. And it was awesome. Like, really, really good. And then I reinforced it with sauna pen, resilient channel, drywall, because there's construction going on my street. Houses are going up. And I was like, I need something where if somebody's outside my window with a chainsaw, it won't come through.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if you've gotten it that quiet, then you've done really well. For most people, and again, I'm always looking at things to be really mobile and to be able to move it if you wanted. That's why I'm a big fan of making your own PVC enclosure, moving blankets, ATS panels on the inside. It works really great. I can't believe the money they get for some of these things. Like, for instance, like to buy a pre-made, and again, I'm not talking about the tri-booth that George and Rick do, which is a great little unit. I would like a little more room than that tri-booth, you know, when you're in it every day, all day, like we are. I'm more into the one that I built was a 4.5 by 3.5. So it gave me plenty of room to be in there. I could even sit in there if I needed to sit. What those things that people get $2,000 for those. And I can show you how to build it. I actually sell the plans, the measurements for my 4.5 by 3.5. So you don't have to measure anything. You know how to do it. If you put everything in the world into that thing, it wouldn't cost you more than $500. And it sounds really, really good. So just know the bottom line is your environment is, you want to spend more on your environment than you do your mic. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I totally agree. Definitely. And then that's where like using those effects, like your noise reduction or your like Isotope has a really good spectral denoise. Like there's a few different plugins that can do really cool things. And I was just really trying to tell people in a video I did about reducing your noise floor was don't record your audio thinking, oh, I'll just noise reduce that out. Like you got to get your
noise floor.
Yeah, I just
you got to get your noise floor down before you record.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I was saying about if you can get it to -48.
Yeah.
Then that's the break point for me. If you're at -48 and you need to get down to 65, you're going to lower it by 17 dB.
Yeah.
Which is pretty aggressive, but it will work. I've, after teaching well over 1,500 people, we've always made it work. You just gotta be gentle with that stuff, and it's got to be right.
I was just wondering if you could talk to us about mic placement and mic technique, because that can definitely, play a big part in how your audio sounds.
Absolutely. And know that a 2-inch distance, closer or farther away, will change your volume completely. Most people don't even know what range their volume should be in. They're just willy-nilly going for it. And here's what industry standard. This is a noteworthy moment. You want your volume when you're recording raw before you do anything, this is where it's coming in, to come in between I always don't know which side because it might be mirrored, between -12 and -6. So you're averaging around -9. Now, if you go above -6, it's not a problem. If you go below -12, it's not a problem. But you want to be averaging about -9 dB. That is the correct volume. And the reason is these microphones are sensitive, and you need to push them so that they're picking up all the nuances and the beautiful tones of your voice. If you're way down in the 20s, as I say, if you have a 416 that you spent $1,000 for, and you're coming in and your volume is 20 or 10, 15 dB too low, then you're only using $300 of that $1,000 mic.
Oh yeah.
So for position, this I have a 416 right here. So my position when I know it's a little hard because it's black on black here, but I will go off axis like this, pointing at my mouth, and I'm reading this way. I'm never talking directly into the mic. You do not need to talk directly into the mic, because when you do, then Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled. You'll get all the breath on top of the plosives. So the other thing is, hold on. Everybody thinks these are called pop guards, right? In the studios, they're actually called spit guards, because what they do is they keep spit off the microphone. But we're not singers, so we should not be talking directly into the mic anyway. So either this is one position, the other position I would go with is like this. And notice, again, I'm this far away from the mic. This is my mouth from the end of the mic, this far away. But I'm talking down here. My spit isn't going up to the mic. My breath is going here. It's not going into the mic. So that's one. That's if you're using a shotgun, that's the way you would use it. If you're using this style of mic, which is another mic I have, this is a Vanguard V4. This is the way most people have these mics. If you want to come, if you can, from the top down, and if you do, you want it to be in your third eye, pointing down at your mouth. Again, I'm talking this way, so I'm not spitting up, I'm spitting this way, and all my breath is going this way. Now, if you're coming from the bottom up, where you want to do it is you want to have it off to the side, sort of like yours is, and pointing at your mouth, either 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock, never right in the center. And that's the way it'll actually all kind of work out. Okay?
Yeah.
Does that answer? So now, again, being this far. Now, listen, it's so funny because I don't even think about it. Like if I walked up to this mic, I'm going to know that this is my position. Like I just know instinctively the position. And if I'm talking loud, I'm going to move back like this. And if I'm talking soft, I'm going to move in like this. And that literally is enough to compensate. And that just comes with experience from recording, doing different stuff, knowing where to be on the mic, but you got to know that the sweet spot as well. And that really does make a difference in the quality of your recording.
And your performance. Like if you're having a very intimate read where you're almost at a whisper, you're not going to be 6 to 8 inches away. You're going
to be right up. Listen,
you gotta get up in there.
That's right. I get in here like this. Now, the other thing is don't wear headphones when you perform, because when you wear headphones, what happens is you're not hearing yourself the way you normally hear yourself. And we're used to hearing ourselves with the bones in our head. And what's so interesting to me, like when we're on the workouts, I'll go, hey, are you wearing headphones? Like I can tell by their performance, and they take them off and it's like night and day. It's like they get really real all of a sudden when they don't have their headphones on. Boy, we given a lot of information.
I know. I feel like that's a lot of info.
A lot of info. I'll give you two things. Here's my advice. 100% of the people that don't make it in voiceover quit. So don't quit. This is not a sprint. It is a marathon. There are a lot of people out there selling you goods that go, we'll do 8 coaching sessions, and then we'll do your demos, and Monday morning you can make $1,000 a day in your pajamas, and nothing could be farther from the truth. This is not an easy business, but if you love it like you and I do, we love what we do every day. And so it's not work to us. You know, there's nothing more glorious than standing in front of the microphone, saying whatever it is that they're asking us to say and thinking, they're paying me to do this? I'd almost pay them for me to do this, you know? So bottom line is it's about hanging in there, creating a community around you for support. You got to have ledge buddies when you have those bad days to talk you off the ledge. And, you know, that's the most important thing, creating a community and hanging in there. Do your research. Don't spend your money on anything unless you have at least 3 to 5 personal recommendations that this is a good place to spend your money. Otherwise, because you're at the mercy of that person that's selling you stuff.
So I just got to say, like, even if you have the best audio setup, you really need your training. So where does VO workouts come into that? How is that helpful for people?
Well, first of all, I started the VO Heaven WOW workouts. WOW stands for Workout Wednesday, because we started doing these on Wednesday. I started them in 2010, literally within a year of me starting in voiceover. And the way it happened was I had done some kind of a workout where there was only 4 of us on the workout. So on the second round, the guy that was running it said, we're going to have you direct each other on this second round. And it was like an epiphany to me, like how much value I got from having to be the director was really clear to me, because what it was, and he said it clearly as well. He said, when you put on your director's hat, you begin to hear and see things that you didn't hear or see as a performer. So there's a lot of value in that, because what are you doing all day alone in your booth? You're self-directing. So this way you're actually articulating to give somebody else what they need to do to make it sound more meaningful and a cleaner performance. And if you can do that for them, then you can begin to do it for you. Because most of the stuff that we think about, a lot of it is just in our head, sort of like reading to ourselves. There's nothing coming out here. So it's not fully articulated. Until you try to put it out in words, it's not fully articulated. So we started with like 4, 6 people, and we went for a whole year consistently every Wednesday at 11 a.m. like we were there. And then people were like, no, I want to do this too. And I just came up with this idea of creating these workouts such that it was kind of like going to the gym. In other words, you go to the gym, you work with your trainer once every 2 weeks. But where the real work gets done is with your workout buddies every day in the gym. So the way I saw it was the workouts were like going to the gym with your workout buddies, and getting that immediate feedback when you're in the heat of the moment really made a big difference. And the way it works is we have 3 workouts a week. There's two on Wednesday, one at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Pacific time, and Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And what happens is, let's say there's 40 people in the pool for the 10 a.m. Wednesday workout. So an email goes out to them on Sunday and says, do you want to work out on Wednesday? You say yes or no. And then all of the yeses, the administrator, who is Laura Berdure, she puts together the groups with a leader. There are people that I call initiators that are not necessarily the most senior, and they're not necessarily the best voice actors of everyone, but they know how to lead, keep things on track. They're experienced and they're mature and they're good people and they're good with people. So what happens is, the way the format is there are 5 people. The last person on the performance order directs the first person. And each person does 2 different scripts, and you have, 3. Typically, we're going to take roughly somewhere around 15 minutes for each person to do 2 scripts. And the director will direct them through a couple of takes, and then they'll open it up to the whole group to give input if there's some other input that they want to give. So, and then after that person is done performing, they then direct the next person, and so on down the line. 60% of the value is in the directing, not the performing. And people are always freaked out about the directing. They're always more freaked out about directing than they are performing. And we go, look, don't worry about it. We got the net out. Like, you've got a whole other group of people. If you hear something and you go, no, I don't hear anything, it sounded great to me, then you just give it to the group and somebody will have something to add to what's going on.
It's so supportive. Coming from a music background as a singer, like, I was already pretty in tune with the way I sound and how to alter that. But I would say it's been that training plus all of the VO workout stuff that makes my live direct sessions like a total breeze. I get told all the time, there's an embarrassment of choice here, because I know how to change things slightly, so it's different every time. Or they give me direction and you have to know exactly where to place it, to give them what they need. And I would just say, it does wonders for your live direct, confidence and ability.
Sure. You've got you working out is really a great, it's an enhancement to your coaching. It's not coaching, even though you might learn a lot of stuff. Naysayers say, well, it's just the blind leading the blind. And I say, nay. And the reason I say that is because 85% of the directors that I've worked with doing live direct sessions, Source Connect sessions, they are not professional directors. They don't really know direction like as a pro doing it every day, 100 times a day. They're just not that. And so they will give you a lot of direction that is very nebulous and sort of, you've got to take their goobly gop and turn it into something. So the way I describe it for the workouts is, you're not always getting the correct direction, but your job is to execute whatever they're asking you to do. And if it sounds bad, then it's up to them to say, ooh, that didn't sound so great. Our job is to be able to execute, not give our opinion whether we like their direction or not. And that happens a lot on the workouts, because you have new people, you have senior people that raise the bar for those less skilled, and then you have the less skilled truly raising the bar for the more senior skilled people, because they got to figure out, how am I going to tell what I need to tell this person so that they can get where I want them to go. And that's a skill that is really good to have for yourself, because we don't always get great direction. We got to figure out how to take what they gave us and turn it into something.
Well,
and it is the best deal in voiceover, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's affordable. It's a great community, so I can't recommend it enough. So
cool.
Find Larry online. It's VO Heaven Workouts or Wow Workouts.
It's voheavenworkouts.com. Yeah.
Heavenworkouts.com. So,
and come and listen in for free. Doesn't cost you anything. Come and check out and see how the sausage is made, as we say.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Larry, and we'll hopefully see you again on the channel sometime. But
very good. I'd love to. Anytime.
Bye.
Bye-bye.